as this segues to a question I have about your thoughts about Jim Harbaugh and his impact, I think about what most people think the narrative is at Michigan, which is, oh, Jim Harbaugh stepped on campus and took that awful Michigan team that Brady Hoke had, and he just waved his magic wand and they went 10-3 and 10-3. Well, Brady Hoke brought in top 15 to 20 recruiting classes, so he didn't exactly have a cupboard that was bare. So the success that Harbaugh has had, is that more a testament to his ability to instill the confidence, inspiration, and also order a system and get everyone headed in the same direction, or does it speak more to the inability of Brady Hoke to develop the talent that he brought in?
Yes, is the answer to your question. I'm reminded of what Beano Cook used to say back in the day about Notre Dame. Notre Dame's got material. Michigan's got material. They've got players, okay? Hoke's last class at Michigan was not very good. The two prior classes were both consensus top 10. And that's where a lot of these 18 guys that are going to be in NFL training camps here in a few weeks came from those two classes. And I think it shows you he just couldn't develop them. Wasn't a leader of men. Wasn't sure about the offense. They tried to change Denard Robinson to more of a pro-style quarterback. And then finally, the last few weeks of that very first year, they went to more of a spread. They ended up, winning a BCS bowl game. And then they brought Doug Nussmeier in, and he couldn't change Devin Gardner, couldn't develop him, couldn't develop Shane Morris. And that's why I'll be fascinated to see what Doug Nussmeier, who's now the OC at Florida, that's Michigan's first opponent. Well, now he's going to try to take a quarterback very much like Devin Gardner, Malik Zaire, and turn him into a West Coast offense quarterback. And he's going to try to do it in about 4.5 weeks before we play them when training camp starts. So I'll be fascinated to see if he can do that. And a lot of it there was turmoil in the athletic department. Dave Brandon as an AD was a giant facepalm. And, the students had kind of revolted. There was literally a student revolt on campus. We were, negative energy. Like, stories came out that, hey, if you bought a Coke Zero, they wanted to continue the sellout streak so much that if you bought a Coke Zero, you got tickets. And I just think Michigan is very much like what Tom Herman is walking into right now at Texas. And if you look at Jim Harbaugh, you saw right away, every place he's been, instant impact. I mean, the 49ers for pretty much the decade before he arrived were a disaster. Right away made him a playoff team. In fact, if you look in the history of the NFL, Mark, coaches that coached at least 4 years in the NFL, Jim Harbaugh has a top 5 all-time winning percentage, okay? Right away at Stanford, they were maybe the worst Power 5 program in the country. They beat number 1 USC as a 40-point underdog. You see it at Michigan. He went from 5 wins to 10. Now, he found a program that had talented players, guys, though, that were sick of losing. So they were willing to listen to the extra commitment that he was going to demand. They were willing to be leaned on because they wanted to win more than they wanted a vacation. And I think that's very similar to what Tom Herman's going to walk into this fall at Texas, where Charlie Strong recruited well the two classes prior to him arriving, just couldn't get it done on the field. I've always believed that if Charlie Strong had beaten Kansas and gotten to a bowl game, he'd still be the coach. Similarly, if Brady Hoke had beaten Maryland at home at the end of his last year, gotten to a bowl game, we likely don't get Jim Harbaugh, just like Texas likely doesn't get Tom Herman. And you see with Tom Herman, first year at Iowa State as the offensive coordinator, they go from 3 wins to 7. First year at Ohio State as the offensive coordinator, they go from 6 wins to 11. First year at Houston as a head coach, they go to a New Year's Six bowl. I think you'll see Texas potentially double their win total under Tom Herman because he's walking into the exact same situation that Jim walked into here at Michigan. So yes, Brady could not coach at this level, could not run the program, especially with discord in the administration. But Jim has also done a masterful job of developing that talent. And now I think it's kind of funny to see the same analyst who said, oh, well, it's going to take Jim 3 or 4 years to rebuild this program. It's a disaster. Now want to say, oh, Brady Hoke left the cupboard bare, and now it's going to take Jim 3 or 4 more years to compete with the players he's actually recruited, who were every bit as highly recruited, if not more so, than the guys that Hoke left him.